If you want to understand Arizona, really understand this place, the people, the history, the natural beauty, I can't think of a better way to start than taking an 800-mile walk on the Arizona Trail with author Tom Zoellner. You won't need hiking boots or a backpack. Zoellner hiked the entire trail and tells the story as if you're right there with him. It's in his new book, Rim to River, Looking into the Heart of Arizona. And Tom Zoellner, welcome back to Sunday Square Off.
It's good to be here.
Want to make clear this book isn't a travel log. It's really more of a personal memoir, your rediscovery of the people, the place, the land, maybe Arizona's soul, what the state is all about. Why did you fixate on the idea that you had to hike the 800-mile Arizona Trail in order to tell that story?
Arizona's at once a complicated human civilization, but it's against a magnificent natural backdrop. And you can't really understand the human civilization without understanding the environment in which it's situated. And I wanted to have an intense, up-close, personal experience of that environment.
And intense really is the word. This isn't a walk in the woods. It's not the Appalachian Trail. This is a very demanding trail, not much shade, not much water. How tough was it?
790 miles. It wasn't always easy, but I think anyone in average physical condition can do it. I don't want to underestimate it, but I also don't want to overestimate it.
Now, you started the story in search of the birthplace of Arizona's name. And the name kind of hints at what was to come. Here's what you wrote, quote, "A twinkle of wealth and then some hype. This was how Arizona was born." What's the origin story of the name and the person who kind of came upon this place?
Sure. The name Arizona is from the Basque language of northern Spain. It means place of the good oak tree. And it was the name of a ranch, which is now located in present-day Sonora, not Arizona, but it was the site of a 1736 silver rush, which panned out quick. And the place faded from the map. But the idea of the name Arizona standing in for a bonanza, it's stuck in the Spanish imagination, the Mexican imagination. And a hustler from Kentucky named Charles Poston got himself appointed to a federal position right after Arizona became a part of the United States. And he picked up on this name, this enigmatic, beautiful sounding name. And that was what he convinced Abraham Lincoln to name the territory that was split off from New Mexico.
And this idea of hype and the search for wealth, that's one of the themes in the Arizona story, isn't it?
Oh, very much so. And you see that spirit, of course, enduring to today in all of its hopeful manifestations and also in its dysfunctions too.
And you use the hike and your stops along the way to go back to your journalism roots in some way and tell a fairly current story, but also to hit on a theme, and one in particular that's tied to the Robert Fisher story. He was for a long time on the most wanted list after a horrific, he murdered his family in Scottsdale in the early 2000s, but that leads to a story about a rivalry in the area where his truck was found. And the larger theme, and I want to get it right, about the mystique of violence in Arizona that's never disappeared. How do you see that in the arc of Arizona history?
Sure. You mentioned the Robert Fisher case, and old-time Arizonans will remember that story from 2001, where Robert Fisher killed his family in Scottsdale and then abandoned his wife's Toyota 4Runner up in the Tonto National Forest. And one of the ironies of that story was it was quite near, that spot is quite near the site of what was called the Pleasant Valley War, one of the great range wars, family feuds of Western history, which left a trail of corpses. And this history of violence with the Apache Wars, with, of course, the street violence of mining settlements, with a continuing thread of menace that underlies, that's just underneath the surface. I think this is key to understanding an element of Arizona. Not the most important element, but certainly one that comes in for serious consideration.
You have several chapters devoted to your boyhood home in Tucson, southern Arizona, including your connection to former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. I finished reading the book while staying in Summerhaven at the top of Mount Lemmon, and you have a whole chapter devoted to Mount Lemmon where you see these different currents just colliding in how the road to Mount Lemmon was created and who built it. Give us a snapshot of that story.
Sure. Well, visitors to southern Arizona will be familiar with the Sky Islands, as they're called, these magnificent peaks that have a range of topographical and geological zones embedded within them. You can, in the course of several hours, be up in a pine forest that resembles Canada and then descend to a hot desert floor and all the transition zones within. They're incredible. And a preeminent one is Mount Lemmon and the Santa Catalinas outside Tucson. That road up to the top was built as a sort of a civic booster initiative, and it was paved with the work of convict labor. We associate this with Southern chain gangs, but this existed in Arizona with those who were in federal prison were offered the chance, almost a perk in those days, of being able to build this road in addition to conscientious objectors of Japanese descent during World War II. So that road, which arguably should not exist, has a kind of a hidden history to it.
I want to end on this note. You say Arizona is worse than you thought and better than you thought. What's the worst part?
The political dysfunctions, the loneliness that drives people apart in some of our built environments. The best part, however, is reconnecting with that natural landscape and reconnecting with the wonderful individuals who live here. I think this is one of Arizona's foundational problems: is we just don't know each other all that well. And this book is my tiny attempt to create more of a conversation among Arizonans about the magnificent place that they live in.
The book is Rim to River, Looking into the Heart of Arizona.